It is not spring break for the Austin Police Department or even the Austin Police Monitor because officers were really busy this weekend. There was several shootings that happened over the weekend, and one involved officers who rushed toward the scene of gunfire that erupted right next to the Austin Police Department headquarters. So with us this morning is the director of the Office of Police Oversight, Farah Muscadin. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here. Saw you in the background when Chief Manley was talking about that officer-involved shooting. Explain to our viewers why you respond to each shooting involving a police officer. What is your role?
Right, so I am the director of the Office of Police Oversight, and our office is responsible for oversight of the police department. And so we are generally called to the scene of any critical incident, which includes an officer-involved shooting. And we're there primarily to review the scene, to make sure that policies are being followed. It's important that we're there because we monitor the investigation. The investigations occur over time. And so having firsthand knowledge and seeing the scene and the circumstances really helps us in our review of the investigation.
Mm-hmm. So people can contact your office to sort of, I guess, for lack of a better term, report an interaction with a police officer that they liked or did not like. You have changed the way people can do that reporting. First of all, what is the difference and what caused the change in the way people can report?
Right, so we received a lot of feedback from the community that our prior process was difficult. It required filling out a form, it required an affidavit that had to be notarized, and for some that was a barrier, and it was difficult to report any sort of misconduct of an Austin police officer. And so now we've streamlined the process. We have a new website, atxpoliceoversight.org, and one click of a button. It's an easy step-by-step process to file a complaint, and also an easy process to send a thank you to a police officer.
And that is something new, right? Because I don't think that there has been in the past a way for you to say, hey, I had a great interaction with an Austin police officer. What do you do with that information when somebody says they had a great story with APD?
So we track it, but more importantly, we want that officer to receive the recognition and the thank you that they receive. So we make sure that the officer receives it and their chain of command receives it. Mm-hmm. I think it's important that officers, when someone calls us, to say thank you to them, that they actually get it.
Yeah. It seems to me like your job is extremely tough because anytime there's a complaint, there are going to be two sides to the story and perhaps two valid points of view. How do you go about distinguishing the information and figuring out perhaps if something was or was not done incorrectly by the police?
Well, I think it's important that the community know that our office is impartial, and we look at the facts. And the situations, you have to see it from both sides. Mm-hmm. And so we understand that for someone who comes forward on a complaint of misconduct, that it's difficult because it was potentially a negative experience. And then we also understand that the law enforcement perspective and that their jobs are difficult as well. Mm-hmm. So it's important for us to stay in the middle and look at the facts. And ultimately, our job is to determine whether or not there was a policy violation. Mm-hmm. And the facts will dictate that.
You mentioned that your office is impartial. Do you find, though, sometimes people expect you to be their advocate when they reach out to you?
Well, sometimes, but I do find that a lot of times when we get calls, we're that ear. A lot of times people just need to vent their frustration mm-hmm. about what they experienced. And I think that with the job, there has to be a level of compassion that comes with it and empathy. And I think that we do that. But in terms of being an advocate, that's not really our role.
You've been on the job for about a year, you said, right?
Yes.
Last year, we had a number of police shootings, and just covering the Austin Police Department as a beat reporter for many years, I don't remember seeing that many shootings involving Austin police officers last year. How many did we have? And did you see a trend as far as any kind of policies that were being broken or that need to be in place to prevent it from happening again?
So last year, we had about 12 officer-involved shootings. The average for the last 10 years has been about 6. And so we did see an increase last year. I would say that the trend that I saw in the shootings were generally they involved a person in mental health crisis. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a larger discussion. That's a bigger than my role as the director of the Office of Police Oversight and also, you know, the police department. It's a community issue that I think many stakeholders need to get together to figure out how we can better serve that community.
We appreciate your time and all that you do. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you. I appreciate it.